it's Amber. I'm here in a slightly different way and talking in a Muppet voice, apparently. Hi, guys. So I wanted to try something new. If you have joined in one of the Spreecasts, you sort of know how this works. But I thought I would just sort of come up with a question and then answer it in the way that I do on the webcast and then just send it to you and hope that it kind of hits you at the right time, because of course this is the goal with all of this stuff, is to get you the thing you need right when you need it. So the question I just concocted out of my own little brain, because it's something that I've been thinking about a lot, is how do you get where you want to go as a writer? Because I think we all have a place we want to go. None of us are like, I am here, I am now going to rest on my laurels, and I'm going to drink a milkshake, and it's going to be fabulous. I'm not there yet. I don't know if you are. If you are, please tell us how. But yeah, I think also the goal is never to rest on the laurels. The goal is always to like keep pushing out and doing new things. But yeah, there's always this sort of sense of like, there's a place I want to go and I'm not there yet. And so I think we want to look at this in two ways. The first is really, opening up to the process and the beauty of the process and the wonderful, like, kind of, goodies that you get as you're really stepping forward into, this writing path that feels truly aligned for you. And I think, if you're listening to this right now, that's exactly what you're doing. Like, I don't think you have to worry about like, oh, how do I step into, like, you're doing it. So don't worry about it. Just, keep doing it. And so, we really want to focus on kind of how beautiful that is in each day that you get to spend writing something or creating something with words, however you want to define that, because I know that some of us are, we really had to claim ourselves as writers because we always sort of like, we sort of denied it a little bit. Like you think about yourself as like a blogger or a marketer or, God, what did I do for so many years? Like I just sort of thought of myself as like a journalist a little bit, but like I never really claimed writer, and then some of us, the idea of being a writer, calls up all of this stuff around like, oh God, I have to be Elizabeth Gilbert. I have to be, perfect, or, whatever your idea of what a writer is. It's like, oh God, now suddenly there are so many expectations on that. And I sense that I'm drifting a little bit because I'm not quite sure what I'm talking about now. Oh yeah, so how do you get where you want to go? And the two parts, that's 4. The 2 parts would be to really just like love what you're doing, love what you're doing when you're doing it. Sometimes you don't love like sitting down being like, oh God, I have to work on this chapter or I have this new project. There can be some resistance. And so like learning when the resistance is intuition and when the resistance is, it's just something you need to push through a little bit, and you'll feel so good after you've pushed through it. That's part of what we're all learning here. And it just, it just takes playing with it and seeing like where you are in each day. But then beyond that, just like allow yourself to love that you're doing something that you love. I think sometimes we get very caught up in the, oh God, I have to accomplish X, Y, and Z by the time I am X age, or, so I think this is an invitation for you to let go of your expectations. And because creating expectations for yourself also creates limitations. It makes you feel like if you aren't living up to your own expectations, you are failing, and it means that you're kind of stunting your growth in a way, because there might be, when you're living within a certain like, oh, I want to publish a book, you might be ignoring the much greater possibility that could be out there, and you just don't have the, life experience, you haven't lived the experience of, this possibility. And so you can't even, you can't even imagine it. You can't even conjure it up. Like maybe, maybe instead of writing a book, you're really feeling called to go travel the world for 6 months, and then your book comes out of that. And yes, that has shades of Elizabeth Gilbert, so maybe I should think of another, maybe you don't really want a book. Maybe you don't really want to write a book. Maybe you're feeling really called to like start your family or start a business, and then the book comes out of that. I know that, an example from my own life is that when I was a few years ago, like right after my dad died, there was so much around that, and there were so many wonderful, heartbreaking, heart-wrenching stories around that, and I really wanted to collect them, and I really felt like there was a book there, and so I started writing that book, and I felt like, oh God, I have to get this out. I have to, this is my thing now, and I, was like really invested in this being my thing, and then, I sent it to an editor, and she's like, this is great. This is going to be a book at some point, but you're not done living your book. And so that was like the best advice I've ever gotten, because I realized that I was trying to push this boulder uphill, and it wasn't feeling right, and it just wasn't like, things weren't gelling because it wasn't the right time. I hadn't lived enough for this particular project. So I found another project that felt better and that worked, that just like was more aligned with where I was at that time. So I think, to really answer the question, how do you get where you want to go, is to, I always say like, dream bigger. And I don't know, that never really makes a whole lot of sense to me. But I think it's allowing yourself to realize that, what you are being called to do might be so much bigger than you think it is. And I'm like pounding my little fists on the table here, even though you can't see it, there's pounding happening. You might not be able to see how big you're going to be and how much you're going to do, and you might not be able to see it if you limit yourself in some way by like the, where I want to go is published in the New Yorker and a book published by, I don't know, Penguin or something. And, I think those are wonderful things to want, and they're wonderful things to go for, and like, by God, you go out and you do that, but don't make that your path. Don't make that your, this is where I want to go and this is where I'm going, God help me. Because then it becomes very much about kind of muscling your way through it and doing things you don't love, and, I don't know what I'm doing there. So, I think really my point is to allow yourself to love the process and trust that whatever result comes out of that process, that you are loving in the best way that you can. And love here, by the way, is a verb, not a noun. It's not like just like, oh, I love it. No, that doesn't really do anything for anybody. It's like, come to, whatever writing project you have and like give it some love. Like give it everything you have that day. If, all you have to give that day is 5 minutes, great. If you have 4 hours, but somehow, all you can manage is 15 minutes, that's fine. Like give what you can give in that day and love as much as you can from where you are. And by the way, this whole like self-care nonsense that I've been like about lately is about taking care of yourself in a way that you expand your container. And when you expand your container and like fill yourself up, then you have so much more to give to your work. You have so much more to say. You have so much more, which is really exciting. So like, yeah, whatever self-care looks like for you, fucking do it. And explore new ways to do it, and explore new ways to become more comfortable with taking care of yourself in a better way, because that will just, you're writing like that. You're writing. So to actually answer my question, this is the problem with these. I'm not scripting this out or anything. I'm just like, oh, I'm going to talk about this. And then I start talking, and then I have no idea if I'm like tying up the threads or not. So yeah. And also I start worrying that like I'm becoming my mother, who leaves these really long answering machine messages and says, like, she repeats things over and over again. And like, I know that I do that, which is why I don't like leaving voicemails. And now I feel like I'm doing it here. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop talking now. I'm going to send this out to you guys. And if you have any questions, I'm just going to send it to the email list, I guess. We'll figure that out. If you have any questions, just please hit reply and I will answer it. Maybe this will be a weekly thing. Maybe this will be the only time it ever happens. I don't know. But either way, I will get you an answer. So if I didn't actually answer the question or I started something and didn't finish it, please let me know. And yeah. Thank you all for being here and for being so vital to this process. I love you. Bye. I have to turn this off.